Penguin, just in general, his ability to have like all these gadgets and his like thugs being geniuses that can rewire the Batmobile are just like, where did all this come from? None of this makes any sense. And speaking of not making any sense, we actually have a segment we're introducing on the show today that I think is perfect to talk about.
Yep.
It's a Brandon Hanna inspired, created segment. It's called Film Physics, right? That's what we're calling it?
That's what he's calling it.
That's what he's calling it. Inspired by his YouTube channel originally. He wanted to do this on his show, so we figured, let's try it out here. Let's see how it fares. Let's see if it can fly.
I see what you did there. Yeah, so Brandon, let's have you take it away. Tell us a little bit about your idea of the Film Physics episode based off of Batman Returns.
All right, well, first of all, you'll have to excuse me, guys, because I'm kind of having an Andrew Guy armpit stain kind of moment where my glasses are fogging up uncontrollably.
The best thing to do is to never acknowledge it and keep sweating.
and every time it cuts back to Andrew, just wave your hand in front
every
of your
time
face.
you feel like you're not on camera, go like,
Okay. Well, welcome to Film Physics. This is the segment of the show where we hold filmmakers accountable for their blatant disregard for scientific accuracy. And as Ben alluded to, today we will be discussing the science behind the Penguin's helicopter umbrella. Do we have the clip from the movie?
Yeah, we actually, I don't know if I actually linked it over, but do you mind pulling that real quick, Jeff? Maybe on YouTube, just Penguin, Batman Returns, umbrella. Basically, we're trying to figure out whether or not this is something that can happen, and I know that we have to propose some hypotheses.
Yes. And in preparation for today's show, I asked both Ben and Andrew to come up with a 30-second hypothesis as to why they think the science is portrayed accurately in the film or portrayed inaccurately in the film.
And I'm going to hop in first saying that, of course, it's portrayed accurately because he's the Penguin. The Penguin weighs way too much to not put enough science into this umbrella. He does not want to get his fat ass up like 50 feet up in the air, and then that's how the Penguin dies.
Right.
Is his helicopter umbrella does not fly, or it stops flying, or he tail spins out and then crashes. That's not the way it goes.
I think there's a decent argument in that favor.
I don't believe you.
The flipper hand would, in theory, mean that he would have more grip on the umbrella handle. But in the end, I actually think that his ability to hold on to the handle would be the problem. Not his weight. Not his weight, nor, in fact, the actual ability of the umbrella thing to fly.
The motor itself.
I think that's all fine. That's sound science. If he can rewire the Batmobile, then his guys have put a lot of science into that. I'm not going to argue with that. What I am going to argue with is his tiny forearms. He does no exercise. Look, I'm a pretty in-shape guy, and when I try to do like biceps 2 days in a row, I can feel the grip in my forearms.
Okay.
It's like difficult.
Maybe.
Trying to lift his entire body weight it looks like usually one hand. There's no way. That's the part of it that would fail. He would fall. I don't even think he would lift off.
I would like to say, in the film, he steps on a thing at the bottom of the umbrella.
The handle, yeah.
There's a handle that comes out. It would fool.
It would break.
it would break. The flippers would slip. He would die. Jeannine, what do you think? Do you have a hypothesis?
I think people would see that disgusting stain on the back of his onesie and start throwing fruit at him.
He's wearing a tuxedo.
He would fall out of the sky.
So whether or not he does fly, the stain itself would ruin his chances.
Okay, so those are the hypotheses proposed by the hosts of Action Movie Anatomy and our lovely guest, Brandon. Lay it on us. What do you got?
How did I do?
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. 100% wrong.
Really? He's got cards. I'm so excited.
I prepared very high-tech cards here today to kind of give a visual cue to the points that I'm trying to drive home.
For those
you can
that
see
are
the
just,
step right
For those
there.
that are
Yes,
just
the
listening,
step.
I'm going to narrate this so that our listeners on audio actually know what's happening.
Yes.
We have a piece of cardboard, crudely written. It says, the Penguin's helicopter umbrella with a hand-drawn picture of an umbrella.
Yes. So, to solve this problem, there's two major things that we need to know. One, we're going to be utilizing principles of fluid mechanics, and also we're going to be utilizing a mathematical model known as actuator disk theory.
Holy shit.
This is where Ben and I's pay grade completely disappears.
My favorite part of this is that if Brandon was making this up, I would have no idea.
This is not a real thing. Okay, what the hell is a actuator?
So actuator disk theory is a mathematical model that allows us to approximate the characteristics of the airflow generated by the rotor blades of the helicopter.
Okay.
And using that mathematical approximation, we can determine the velocity of the airflow at the rotor blades, which I calculated to be 32 miles per hour.
Those things are spinning 32 miles an hour.
Air velocity.
The air coming out right beneath them is coming out at 32 miles per hour.
So Brandon calculates that the air velocity of the blades is 32 miles an hour.
That's basically like a push down.
Yes,
Okay.
right above the Penguin's head. Now, that's almost about the wind speed that gets generated from a tropical storm. Now, it's not quite a hurricane, but it's definitely enough to blow the Penguin's top hat clean off of his head.
Okay.
Now, That's
Which doesn't happen.
That would never happen.
So this also leads us where we can calculate now the power needed to operate this device. So how much power does the Penguin need to get this rotor blade to spin fast enough to actually lift him in the air?
Okay.
And I calculated that to be 16.5 horsepower.
How did you get to that?
Well, it's a lot of math.
Never mind. Don't care.
So to put this into perspective, that's about 3 small lawnmower engines.
Okay.
So I highly doubt he was able to fit that, right underneath his butt stain,
Right,
or
right.
maybe in the handle of the umbrella. I don't know, but it's highly unlikely.
There's nowhere for this
it
motor.
could be in his shirt. He's got a lot of girth.
It'd get very warm, and he'd look a lot like me right now.
Okay.
So the final point.
16.5 horsepower.
Yeah.
I'm blown away right
I
now.
honestly,
quite a
he's,
bit.
he's done more math for this than I have in the last 20 years of my life.
So,
Easy.
so this last point
Not
I want to
me.
drive home. Last point I want to drive home is not a mathematical one. It's just kind of a common sense one, and that the helicopter umbrella doesn't have a tail rotor.
What?
There's nothing to stabilize this thing. The Penguin would just be spinning in circles uncontrollably. It would not be as well choreographed or majestic as it is in the film.
What, so there's no, he can't like hold his hand out or like
Just, like,
hold a
flap
flipper.
it. Yeah,
Maybe with his flipper, if he kind of goes really fast, I don't know, but it's highly unlikely.
Imagine trying to run 3 high-powered lawnmowers simultaneously with one hand and steer yourself with the wind of your right hand.
And then imagine those hands are now flippers.
I mean, that's a movie I want to see for sure.
Strong. I think there's one thing I kept vacillating as I was watching The Penguin. First of all, fantastic, Brandon.
Yeah,
That was
yes.
Good job,
unbelievable.
So
Brandon.
you're basically telling us film physics has proven this is not possible in no way, shape, or form.
It's I wouldn't 100% say it's not possible. It's improbable, maybe plausible, but it's definitely not portrayed accurately within the film.
The part of this character that every time he would go back and forth between being horrifying and then like really entertaining, and
yeah.
because they make him so enormously overweight, and he's so angrily like grunting and like the sound.
Spitting.
That was like the thing is like the sounds that he makes. I was like, Burton, you have to know that this guy's like partly comical. You have to know that he's not totally scary because like him just being like really gross and crude and overweight and grunting all the time. It's
Right.
like if he ever gets upset, I was like, if you just inserted like the line of him being like, "Get me a sandwich," it would just be like, I would die laughing in the movie. Like that's all it would take. It's like right on the edge.
Well, you want to do like those live tweet reads of Penguin or Danny DeVito as Penguin reading tweets about him or something like
Yes,
that. I just want to
something.
hear him saying things that are not in context of the film. So really quickly with the film physics there, the fans loved it, by the way. They think it's hilarious, probably just because we're idiots.
Just making us all look dumb, Brandon. They love it.
That's what I do.
Liam Crowley says this physics lesson makes up for me watching the stream and skipping his class, or for watching the stream instead of taking notes in his forensics lecture. So you are doing work for people at home as well, Brandon. Thank
Excellent.
you so much. What did you think when you first did it? Were you like, there's no way this is going to happen just based off of being an engineer? And
I figured it actually took me a long time to research because helicopter mechanics can be a bit tricky. There's a lot of factors in play. I didn't really have access to build my own and put it in a wind tunnel.
Why not?
So, a lot of approximations.
My question is, if you were to do the same thing and you were to apply it to the Nolan films, I wonder how realistic that stuff is. Like the execution at the beginning of Dark Knight Rises and the airplane taking off with the
Right.
airplane.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's probably just as implausible, but maybe another time.
Maybe we'll find out
I mean,
later on.
the bat in the Dark Knight Rises would be pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Guys, at Brandon Hanna07, let him know what you thought about his segment of film physics. We were going to move forward.